So module or EOL number 8 is about tracking data and measuring behaviors when you're going through the process of trying to replace the target behavior with the replacement behavior. So this is actually a required thing to do because the IDEA requires the student progress toward academic and behavioral goals be monitored and reported to parents on a regular basis. So if this wasn't monitored, there would be an issue, and it helps all together in the classroom. So when we are measuring a behavior, it's important to take note of these 6 steps to measure behavior. So first, you're going to operationally define target behavior. Remember, this is the behavior we don't want. Then you're going to decide the behavior measurement system that best reflects the behavior to be measured. Then you're going to determine data collection periods, collect baseline data first, then intervention data, then graph data, and interpret data. So the operational definition for a target behavior is a precise, specific definition of target behavior that helps two people to agree on when the behavior is occurring. So must be able to be seen, measurable, objective, and specific. Cannot be subjective, such as aggression, defiant, disruptive. So it needs to be very clear and almost kind of lengthy in a sense, because you need to say exactly what you define as a target behavior. Because I could play with my hair like this and then stop. Does that count? Like, do you want to count seconds? Do you want to count how many times I've done that? It all just depends on what is defined as playing with hair. I could go like that, I could twist it, and so there's a lot of arguing that can go on about what that is. So when targeting an inappropriate behavior, also choose and consider monitoring a replacement behavior. It must be related, just as easy to perform, and meet the same function. So, you need to decide which measure system to use. Using the wrong system will result in meaningless data. You cannot use every system with every behavior. Each system has specific context it should be used for. So event recording or frequency recording is counting a behavior's occurrence over time, often termed event recording, as I mentioned. It's an easy way to measure typical behaviors appropriate for frequency or rate measures. Might include being out of seat, touching peers, and following directions. The easiest way to do this is to set a time where you'll be observing this data. So you could say 45 minutes during first period every day. And then every time you observe that defined targeted behavior, or you would be able to mark a tally on an index card or something like that, just to count for how often it's happening. So then another form is interval recording, and interval recording is used to measure continuous or high frequency behaviors. So determine a length of time during which the target behavior will be measured. So you're going to then divide this period into equal intervals, example 1 minute. So, and then you are going to gather data from that way. So there's actually 2 types of interval recording. Whole interval recording, which is you record only if the target behavior occurs throughout the entire interval. So if you use 15-second intervals and the behavior occurs the entire 15 seconds, then you would record it. And then partial interval recording. Record if data behavior occurs at any time during the interval. So another form of measurement I found interesting, and I think this is pretty common, is duration measures. So to use duration recording, this target behavior must be discrete so the observer can determine the behavior's beginning and end. So this is basically how long a particular behavior happens. So there is also actually a large amount of measurements, like I said, but the most widely used method of data collection in education is actually permanent products. It refers to concrete, tangible results of outcomes of a behavior. Permanent products alone are not data. It's important to note that. So It's an easy method of recording valued behaviors. It uses permanent product outcomes, often in accounting the number of math problems completed correctly, page read, or assignments accurately finished. It reflects whether a student has been on and off task. When behaviors do not produce permanent products, their online observations must be obtained.